This is Dr. Rodriguez, Psych 101, Chapter 9 on development. Now we're moving along to adolescence. All right, so physical development, what's happening in adolescence? Well, two words that we need to define. Adolescence refers to like being a teen. It's that time frame in between when you're a kid and an adult. You're not really a kid and you're not really an adult. It's those teen years. So it's like that social aspect and all the things that go along with being a teen. Whereas puberty refers more to the biological stuff. Puberty refers more to the hormones in our body that are telling our organs to sexually mature. So puberty is all about getting us to a point where we can reproduce, where our body is able to reproduce. So in talking about puberty, we're talking about menstruation. We're talking about first time for boys being able to ejaculate. So puberty refers more towards the biological. Adolescence refers more to the social, being in a teen. It's that time in high school where you're exploring who you are and you're not really adulting, you're not really a kid. All right. So what's happening in adolescence in terms of cognitive development? We talked about Piaget, and there's a video that will go into talking about Piaget a little bit more. Teen years, they move into formal operations, so they're able to think more critically, more abstractly. They're able to think about ideas beyond, what page number can I find that one answer? It's more of, what do you think is the answer to this? And they can reason, they can think about what is the meaning of life, what is love, all these abstract concepts. Some terms related to that cognitive stage in adolescence is egocentrism. So in preschool, little kids are very egocentric as well. If you ask a little one, what does mom want for her birthday? They're going to say what they actually want. So they're very egocentric. It's about them. That egocentrism returns in adolescence in a different way. It's called a personal fable. They believe that they're so different that something bad won't happen to them. It's this own story that they tell themselves that they are special. An imaginary audience is this belief that teens have that everybody is looking at them, that everybody cares so much about what they're doing. In reality, as you age, you're like, nobody really gives a crap, nobody's really looking at you for that long of amount of time. But as a teen, you think everybody, cares so much about you and what you say and what you do, and blah, 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 when in reality, there's more to life than that, right? So what else is happening in terms of cognition and brain development? There's frontal lobe growth, the reasoning part of our brain. It continues to develop, but it's not fully developed until our mid to late 20s. So our amygdala, our emotion part of our brain, our excitement seeking part of our brain is still very much in charge in adolescence. And our prefrontal cortex is our reasoning part, our maybe you shouldn't do that, or maybe I should make better decision part of our brain is not fully developed. And that's responsible for some of the poor decisions or, risk taking that adolescents do. What's happening in terms of personality development? Erickson said that our teenage years are all about figuring out who we are, trying on different identities. Am I a prep? Am I super into sports? What am I? Let's move into adulthood. Early adulthood is all about, settling down, figuring out maybe who you're going to be in a relationship with. Erickson said that the focus of early adulthood is about finding intimacy, finding a partner that you can share life with so that you're no longer alone. That's what Erickson said early adulthood is about. In early adulthood, maybe some people become parents. 15% of Americans never have children. What we're seeing today is that childbearing, having kids, is being pushed back. And a lot of that having to do with more people seeking out college, and they wait until they're done college until they have a child. Middle adulthood, this is maybe in your 40s, your 50s, maybe early 60s, and there's a lot of focus on you being generous to the next generation. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you're volunteering, maybe you have a job that you want to create change in the world. So it's Erickson said that middle adulthood is all about generativity versus stagnation, being generous to the next generation, creating change, so that you don't have a midlife crisis where you feel like you're going nowhere, where your life is stagnant. Midlife crisis is not common. It may occur, but again, Erickson said that if you contribute to the world around you, you're going to be way less likely to feel stagnated, to have a crisis. Parenting is a significant part of people's adulthood. During middle adulthood, there's different parenting types. Authoritarian is very strict. Permissive is more like, hey, I want to be your friend. Neglectful is lacking love and limits. And authoritative, VE, is lots of love, but also still some limits. These make the most well-rounded kids. I'm going to insert a video that's going to look at parenting a little bit more. And then in late adulthood, 65 and older, brain development, you see that brain mass may decrease. A lot of it is use it or lose it. If you're not using your brain, you end up seeing, synapses die away, more brain mass decrease when you're not using and challenging your brain. Intelligence, what's happening in terms of late adulthood and intelligence. You see a gradual decline in fluid intelligence. Fluid intelligence is solving novel problems, being able to send an email, being able to, set the set the clock on in your car, be able to use, Google Maps. This new problems and being able to figure out how to do new things. That is called fluid intelligence, and that tends to go away more. There's a more of a decline in that type of intelligence than in crystallized intelligence. Crystallized intelligence is intelligence about facts and knowledge. So I always think about when I say crystallized intelligence is the information that Crystal, your teacher, taught you. It's all this facts and knowledge from your education. So that type of intelligence, that facts, knowledge type stuff, that stays with you longer. You don't forget that stuff as easily. Whereas fluid intelligence, being able to solve new problems, that flows away. You lose that sooner. So crystallized, it becomes crystallized in your head. It stays with you longer. Fluid flows away. So these types of intelligence, you can use this to explain why maybe your grandma can kick your butt in Trivial Pursuit, in a trivia game, kick your tush in that, but can't figure out how to send an email, or can't figure out how to use Alexa, because those are new problems. So it's like, Grandma, how come you can't do that? But you can, so much information, because it's two different types of intelligence. Crystallized intelligence is more of that trivia type stuff, whereas fluid intelligence is more of that novel problems. Dementia, Alzheimer's are conditions that may affect some people in late adulthood. Erickson's stage for late adulthood is integrity versus despair. Erickson said during late adulthood, we're doing this life review. We're looking back and saying, did I live a life of integrity? If I didn't, then I'm going to feel despair over my impending death. So you want to feel like you've lived a good life, that you have some wisdom because you have lived a life of integrity. And then death and dying, there's most well-known stage theory of grief is called, it is by Kubler-Ross. I always remember Dabda. So we go through these different stages of anger or of grief, denial, like that's not happening, that diagnosis is not accurate, getting mad that this happened to you, bargaining, saying, oh, if I can just live until, or if they don't take, grandma, then I promise I'll go to church every day or something, like trying to figure out a bargain. Depression being sad, and then finally coming to some sort of acceptance over somebody's death or your own. So you don't necessarily go through these in any specific order or go through every one of them. There's been some people that argue that Kubler-Ross's theory is not the best, that we need a newer one, but it provides some framework for understanding the grief that we can experience over our own death or over the death of others.